I'm gonna show you a really cool Nigerian-inspired bone-in goat stew. The bone-in goat meat here is really an interesting thing. Goats are the most widely eaten animals in the world, and they don't produce as much meat on them as cows or pigs will. So the most efficient way to harvest and portion the goat is to cut it into these kind of little chunky pieces. Most of the people eating goat in the world are probably eating it like this. And it turns into a really interactive way to eat. They make you slow down and appreciate that this was a really happy grass-fed goat who did really cool goaty things, and it just makes it taste that much better. First thing we need to do is toast up some spices. These fun little guys are called calabash nutmeg, and grains of paradise and negro pepper. The best spices are always gonna be the ones that you grind yourself. Woo! A little bit more. What I smell is really almost like camphor, which is the calabash nutmeg. Then the grains of paradise are in the ginger family, so they have kind of a spicy, gingery aroma to them. And it smells, it's almost medicinal at this stage, but I tell you what, I was just amazed when I tasted my first bite of the soup. It was really mild, and I had to add more spices. The first step is browning some goat. Anything that I'm gonna try to brown, when you season it with salt and let it sit for, a good 20 minutes, 15 minutes before you put it in the pan, the salt's gonna dry out the outside of the meat, and it's gonna help you have a drier outside that's gonna brown better, a lot better. And that's gonna be the basis for a really good soup. I mean, even calling this the pepper soup is feels a little odd to me. It's almost just like bone-in goat pot roast. It's really light, it's a light broth, but it still has a really heavy quality from the amazing broth you're gonna get. The bones are what's really gonna give you a great flavor. It's one of the best parts about the bone-in goat meat. So our goat pieces are all browned up. I'm gonna take them out of the pan. And then we got all kinds of good business sitting here in the bottom. So we're going to add a little bit of garlic and ginger and a little bit of onion. All right, spices. Cook those guys around for a minute. There's something magical about cooking a bunch of aromatic spices in oil. And the oil takes on some of their flavors. Put our goat back in. And then it's some chicken stock, about 5 cups. I want to add liquid until, I have a really technical term here, it's until the pieces of goat look like hippopotamuses. So it's kind of like when they're just kind of bobbing in the water. We'll call that good. And then my pan doesn't have a lid. You can use a lidded pan at home. So I'm gonna make a cartouche real quick, which is basically just a little piece of parchment that'll fit in there real nice. Then we'll just let the goat cook for a good hour and a half, 2 hours, just until it's nice and tender. You don't wanna cook the goat until it's completely falling apart and you're pulling out shredded meat and pieces of bone. They gotta stay whole in chunks. Cooking the braised meat to the perfect point where it's fork tender and it yields, but it still holds its shape, that's what we're looking for. The goat pieces, they're gonna have fat on them. And if you leave that fat in, it definitely will taste greasy. So you have a couple options. You can skim it while it's cooking, or the easy way is to just chill the soup, and then all the fat rises to the top, and then you can take a spoon and just scoop it off and throw it away. Definitely recommend cooking it the day beforehand. All the flavors kind of meld together. The sum becomes greater than the parts, so they say. And it's really true with something like this. If something tastes really spicy right away when you put them in and it cooks, or right after the goat's nice and tender, the next day, you might have to add hot sauce to it. Things change as they sit. So right when the goat is about tender, you can add some other vegetables. Plantains are traditional. We are gonna use a sweet potato, white sweet potato today. And you kind of want them in big primal pieces that are about not exactly the same size as the goat pieces, but you want them kind of big. It should be big and kind of chunky. It's gonna let the sweet potatoes cook until they're tender, and then we're gonna have some goat pepper soup. And here we are. Like I said, it's really brothy. And you can see how the bones start to stick out after the meat contracts as it cooks. I guarantee you, every single bite with the bone-in goat meat is different. Like, look at that guy. That's goat ribs right there. It doesn't get much better than that. And I'll finish her up. A couple leaves of fresh basil. There you are. A little goat pepper soup.